so my name is JR. I teach here in Urbana, and so I want to just talk about the charity that I have. I know Carol mentioned it, but Solidarity Gardens is a local group here in Champaign-Urbana, and they're very small, but they're very effective. So we have a community garden culture in Urbana, and when the pandemic hit, there was a lot of, as you may know already, there was a lot of issues with people accessing food. And so they were very quick to send out messaging to all the different like grocery stores in town, all of the community centers in town, to say, hey, we need tools, we need seeds, and we're going to give them to anybody who wants them. And then their second thing that they did was they had people volunteer to set up gardens in their own garden, in their own yards, and to share the food that they grew. So people would grow lettuce, they would share the lettuce. So they're very hands-on. The money that you donate to Solidarity Gardens goes to tools, seeds. There's nobody getting paid, it's all volunteers. And I'm sure there's a small amount of administrative things, but it's all, the main focus is giving food to people. So that's why I chose them. And so for today, the theme, we had to have a theme, right? How do you pick a theme? And so I've been teaching for a long time now, and the idea that always comes back to me is momentum, is movements, is the relationship between movement and time, the idea that we have all this work and effort in yoga practice, and sometimes I shouldn't speak for you, but sometimes I lose sight of the point of it all. And so by studying momentum, studying this directional energy that we have in yoga, it gives a little bit of some brackets to the practice. So with that being said, let's get started. Let's sit in Swastikasana. Simple cross legs, or if you sit in Virasana, you can sit in Virasana, you have the option. Simple cross legs. And sit so that you're even. So take some time, see that the sit bones are both facing forward, so you're not tilting your hips one way or the other. Let's cross the legs in. So we'll take the right leg in first and the left leg to follow. And then come to the front edge of your sit bone. All the things you know to do. Come to the front edge, roll the front of the thigh and spread the back of the thigh out. Now it's important, even as more experienced practitioners, some of you were saying you've been practicing for a long time, to still take care in a pose like this. We say this is a seated pose, but it's also a seeded pose, like a seed, a pod, a small thing that grows. And so from this seat, we have to be able to eventually find quiet. And so as you can feel in your body, sometimes that quiet is harder to get. The legs are tired, the back is tired, the neck, the throat, everything, the whole body aches. What a great way to start. The whole body is aching. So come to the front edge of your sit bone and be at the sit bones. Bring your mind into the sit bones. And from there, lift up. And think of lifting as a continuous thing instead of just a one-time and done thing. So lift up and continue to lift. And then from the sternum bone to the outside of your shoulders, think of spreading wide. And that line can go all the way down the spine. So you have this upward lift and you have this horizontal spreading. And those two things should happen continuously. Now, sometimes when we do these, when we lift tall and we throw the shoulders back, we throw our rib cage forward. So keep the shoulders wide, keep sitting tall, but soften the abdomen, soften the bottom of the rib cage where the diaphragm is. Soften the bottom of the ribs so that you're not hardening your abdomen or your low back as you sit tall. And then gaze forward. Now don't worry about your screen. If you're looking to the screen because that's where your eyes naturally go, that's fine. But don't force yourself to look at the screen. Look where the eyes go when you're sitting tall with the chin lifted and the eyes softly facing forward. And now have a breath and continue breathing. Roll the upper arms up, lift tall, and continue lifting. Okay, so for the beginning of our class, we'll sit together in quiet for a silent invocation. So let's join the hands to Namaskarasana. Press the palms together, lift tall, spread wide, and with the eyes soft, close your eyes. And we'll sit together in quiet for a few moments. Now observe your breath. Have a slow, soft, deep inhalation breath. As you exhale, bow the head down to the heart. Relax the hands to the knees. Lift the head up and open the eyes. Let's change the cross of the legs. Left leg in first, right leg in second, or just the opposite leg. And then we'll turn. Let's turn to the right side for Parsvaswastikasana. Turn, sit tall, lift the sternum up. Lift and grow tall. Now as you're turning, notice the hips are sit bones. What has happened to them? Notice first, and then you can adjust. But notice, inhale, and then exhale to come to face forward. And let's turn towards the left side. Turn to the left, lift the sternum, lift the chin up. The first twist is always that back cracking twist, right? It's the one we're getting into the pose. We haven't yet settled yet, but we're starting to open up. Turn, pay attention to the hips, the sit bones, and then come back to center. Now let's change the legs again. Adjust your sit bones so that you're to the front edge of the sit bones, and you can feel here very clearly that they're even. Left side, right side, they're very even. Now turn to the right, but don't turn so strong just yet. So it's a slight turn. Maybe the sternum is facing in line with the knee. And feel that even as we slightly turn, that right side or the left side hip starts to turn too. So resist that hip back. In fact, in a class, I would put the palm of my hand on your hip, right, and hold that back. So keep your hip back, keep that hip back, anchor the hip, and then sit tall, lift tall. Keep this upward lift as you anchor that left hip back, turn towards your right, so that the twist goes more to the lower parts of the spine. Left hip back, lift the sternum tall, lift the chin tall, grow tall. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale and see, can you turn more, keeping that left hip back. Turn more, and then inhale and release. Come to be centered. Adjust yourself again. Roll the fronts of the thighs in, the backs of the thighs out. And let's turn towards the left. Turn slightly towards the left so that we keep the hips even. So left hip, right hip, even. Now this right hip we know is going to want to jump forward based off of some reading between the lines, knowing what's going to happen in the future. Lift tall, roll the upper arms out. Keep that right hip back and turn towards the left now, but anchor your right hip back. Anchor the right hip back as you turn. So the turn is deeper, lower down in the spine. Lift the sternum, lift the chin up. Inhale, grow tall, then exhale and turn further. Then inhale and release. Okay, now make sure there's nothing to the sides of you. Let's take the hands to the right side on the floor. So in line with your mat to the right side on the floor and reach them pretty far forward. So it's a Adho Mukha Svastikasana, but Parsva variation. But we're not taking the head all the way down. Here, notice your left side, right? The left wing of your legs, your left leg, that knee lifts up, the hip lifts up. So try to reach the left knee, left hip back and down as you turn to the right. Spread the palms. Now, the shoulders have gone all out of whack. The spine is all out of whack. So see that your hands are even on your mat. And then see, can you bring your shoulders to be even with the hands? Left shoulder, right shoulder. Now, press the palms, stretch the elbows straight, and let's come up to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Reach the arms, reach the legs, and extend long. In Adho Mukha Svanasana, take the space you need. So take the feet wider if you need to. Stretch the elbows straight, and take the thighs back. Knees tight. Roll the fronts of the thighs in and spread the backs of the thighs out. Okay, and now take your right leg down, right knee down to the floor, and you'll sit in Swastikasana, facing forward again. Now make sure that when you come up into downward facing dog, the back side of you isn't facing to the camera. Sit tall, roll the upper arms up, and now let's switch the sides. Let's turn to the left side. Take the hands to the left, walk your hands far away, and have the hands even to your mat, and shoulders even with the hands. So you're not, and shoulders even with themselves. So one shoulder shouldn't be higher than the other. Spread the palms, stretch the elbows straight. Now inhale, have a deep breath, and then exhale and come up, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Reach the arms long, press the heels back and down. Stretch the arms, stretch the legs. Open up. Now come back down, Swastikasana. Okay, so now for this next pose, Upavishta Konasana, take the legs wide. Come into the starting point. This pose is definitely one where you have a starting point. They all have that, but this pose especially, because your legs are right out of the gate, they're saying something. They have an opinion. Take the feet wide apart, have your feet equal distance from your midline, stretch the legs long and reach through the heels. Now feel the direction, the natural direction of this pose for your body. The way that your body is affected by gravity, by the shape of the legs, by the shape of the torso, without putting in the effort. So you're looking at the starting point, what's the word? The potential energy of the pose. You're looking at where the pose could go and how the body is affected before the pose has started to work. Now, let's make some adjustments. So look at your legs, hello legs, and point the knees up to the ceiling. So the center of the knee points up, center of the toes, the middle toe points up to the ceiling. And look at your heels and see that the back center of the heel is down to the floor. Not the inner heel, not the outer heel. We have a tendency to go back, but keep the inner heel down. And then hands behind and sit tall. So now here, the momentum of the pose, the direction of the pose here, the legs, they press down to the floor strongly. Think about imprinting the floor with your legs, and then imprint the floor with your legs, press the knees down, and so that the spine can lengthen up away. Now it's important to say, the spine should lift up. Lift the spine, but don't lift your sit bones. So how do we differentiate these two things? Because when we lift our spine up, the sit bones get lighter on the floor. So I've already said it actually. Press the thighs down. So the knee presses down, the middle thigh, but come to the top of your thigh and press the very top of the thigh down and get the sit bones to come down to the floor. Sit bones down, top of the thigh down. And then from there, don't relent the top of the thigh. Lift tall without lifting the sit bones. Top of the thigh down, lift tall. Sometimes in a therapy class, I have a student and I take a mat, a rolled sticky mat, and I lift her head up as she presses her legs down. So her spine gets very long. Now it works because she's a good student and can press her thighs down. So you have to press your thighs down, and then you also have to lift your head up. Lift the spine, lift the head up, and grow tall. Upavishta Konasana. Now, we've been in this pose for some time. A short amount of time, really, for this pose. Take your legs a little wider. See if there's some room to grow. Not to hurt yourself, right? So that's a fine line we have to tread. We go wider to find that new horizon, but not so far that we crash or break. So spread the back of the leg open, press the knees down. Now, raise your arms up into the air. Reach up. Now, what happens when we reach the arms up? Right, the lumbar spine takes the weight of our arms. The legs become light because our hands aren't propping us up anymore. So again, bring your mind into the top of the thigh and press the top of the thigh down. And then reach up higher. Reach, continue to reach. Lift the chest, lift the chin up, and grow tall. Extend the arms straighter, and then connect your arms. So keep reaching, Connect the arms to the very bottom of the hip where the thigh and the hip meet and extend all the way up through the fingertips. Now have a deep full breath. Inhale. And then exhale, let's turn. Parshva Upavista Konasana. Turn towards the right side. Keep the left hip pressing down, left leg pressing down as you turn to the right. Lift the chin up. Lift the sternum up. Grow tall. Press both knees strongly down. Both thighs strongly down. And then inhale, come to face forward. Stretch the legs apart, press the knees down. We have a second side. Raise the arms up. For left side, it's always following. Maybe it wants to go first sometimes. Lift the sternum, reach up into the air. Press your legs down strongly with integrity. Press the top of the thigh down, press the knee down, reach your heels away. And then from that pressure, lift up. Lift up. So don't get bogged down by gravity. You can do it. Lift up, reach the arms higher. Inhale. And then exhale and turn to the left side. Now, that right leg stays working as you turn to the left. So there's a little bit of trust, but you also have to reflect on that right leg to keep it extending and pressing down. The left leg you can see, there's no need to reflect. Press the legs down, lift the sternum, lift the chin up. Now turn to face forward. Now let's bring the knees together, or the feet together, sorry, knees wide for Baddha Konasana. And set yourself up. If you need a height for these poses, you can take one, I don't mind. If you need any props for the poses we do, you should take them. If it takes time, that's okay, I can wait. Press the feet together, take the knees wide, and bring your heels closer. Lift the sternum, lift the chin up. Good, so you can see my knees here, they're up in the air. Hello, hello knees. Right, so there's tightnesses in the inner groin and the knees. And yes, it does feel nice sometimes to just do the butterfly, right? The ballet stretch. There's tightnesses in the inner groin and the knee. And because of this, it's hard to do this pose. So we have to navigate around them. So take the hands behind, move your heels closer, press your feet together. Today, let's press the outer foot together. It's okay if the ankles touch the floor. We'll get there. Press the outer feet together and take the knees lower down, outer feet. So I like to actually take the hands to the thumbs to the big toe and then peel them open like we're reading a book. Or if you're in India, like they're fixing shoes. Sometimes you see people in India fixing shoes like this. Take the knees wider. They have a shoe, not just bare feet though. Take the knees wider, knees down. And you can lean forward, it's okay. This pose is actually a forward bending pose when you get to the classic version. But let's get the knees down, knees down, knees down, knees down, knees down. An inch more, centimeter more, millimeter, any amount more. And then keep them down. Join the big toes together, but don't lift your inner groins up. Don't lift the knees up. Knees down, keep the knees down. Take your hands behind. Try not to lose the inner groins. Mine definitely resisted. Keep the knees down. Press your outer feet together with intention without the hands, and then lift up higher. And then you can lift your hips up a little bit more and scoot your hips in closer to the heel. And you should have a tighter, closer Baddha Konasana. Outer feet pressing down. Now, the outer feet pressing together. Now, you can feel it strong on the outer ankle onto the floor. And oftentimes, you hear the instruction, lift the outer ankle up. Yes, that's correct. We should do that. But it's a step-by-step process for this pose. Press the outer feet together, and then press the big toes together, press the heels. Now, can you take the head of the knee back, and at the same time, press the big toes together to lift your outer ankles up off the floor. So you're not undoing the work we've done, we're adding to it. Knees wider, outer ankles lifting, chest lifting, roll the upper arms up. Baddha Konasana, bound ankle pose. Now we're really bound. Okay, and then release the arms, bring your knees together, stretch the legs straight, Dandasana. Join your legs together. So I'll turn sideways so you can see. Join the legs together strong. We've had them apart. Think about it. Your legs have been, my legs, I'm almost 33. My legs have been together for 33 years, and then we just took them apart. So join them together. They like to be reunited, but really join them. Join the inner leg, reach the heels, spread the back of the knee down. Now the same direction of the pose. Now this pose, I should say, you all should do this at home, just sitting on the floor with the legs straight sometimes. We forget about Dandasana, right? We forget about it, just like we forget about Tadasana. This pose, press down, get the legs pressing to the floor. Lift the chest, roll the upper arms out and sit tall. And then lift your spine. Press the sit bones down, lift the spine up. Dandasana. Spread the sole of the foot, lift the sternum, roll the upper arms out. Get the whole of the leg engaged. From the heel reaching to the top of the thigh pressing down. Lift the whole of the spine up. Follow along the sides of your spine, the left side, the right side, and grow taller. So with momentum, we think of a physical object, something with weight pushing through. In life, in like actual life, like plants, animals, fungi, all these things, in life, the idea of momentum is growth. Growth and momentum are very similar concepts, just applied to different things. And so for growth, you start from one point and then you use the bulk of that experience to lift or move to another point. And that bulk of experience carries you on. So lift tall, lift the bulk of your experience up, grow tall. Now, Parsva-Dandasana, reach the arms up into the air, inhale, lift the sternum, press the legs down. And let's turn to the right side. Turn to the right. I love Parsva-Dandasana, it's a great pose. Take your right hand a little bit closer towards your hips. If you need a block here, because you're really falling back, use a block. Take the hand to the floor to your block. And the first step, before we start wrenching ourselves apart, is to sit tall. Regain your composure. Lift the sternum, lift the chin up, sit tall, and then start to turn. So first the height comes, and then the twist. Lift the sternum, lift the chin up, inhale, and then see, can you turn to look over that left shoulder, the right shoulder, sorry. Inhale, and then come to face forward. Dandasana. Now you can stay facing the same way I'm going to turn. Hands behind, sit tall, stretch the legs. Regain your composure. I like to think of poses as situations, right? So we all have situations we get into. We go to work, we eat dinner, we have meals, we do all these things. We get on the bus, maybe not now, but we go to the park, all these sorts of things. And each time you do it, you have a starting point. You've arrived there. Think about going on vacation. The first thing is you set up your hotel and you get that all figured out. So we've set up the hotel in Dandasana, press the knees down. Now we get to go out and explore. We get to go and see the sights. Spread the back of the knee, spread the calves apart, press the knees down, lift up. Roll the upper arms up. And on vacation, sometimes you're there and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do now. Like, this isn't my normal life. So maybe if you're feeling like, oh, Dandasana, I don't know what to do now. How is this a vacation? You just have to look a little harder. Find a tour guide. Hello, I'll be your tour guide today. Reach the arms up, lift the sternum and press your knees down. Grow tall. Inhale, lift up, lift high. And then exhale and turn towards the left side. Turn to your left, find your spine. Hello, spine. And lift the spine up. Lift the sternum up, lift the chin up. And then with that height, turn towards the left side. Turn, turn, turn. Turn, turn, turn. Inhale, lift the sternum. Exhale, turn further and look over your left shoulder. And then inhale and release the face forward. Have a breath. Now, let's come to Tadasana. And if you need props for standing poses, a chair, blocks, whatever it is, have those now. And then when you're ready, we'll be in Tadasana on the mat. And in Tadasana, let's take the shape first before we take the effort. Take the shape first before the effort. So join your feet together. Let's have the heels slightly separated, feet together, and just stand. Be here. We rush around, right? There's all these songs, the Beatles, everybody sing about how we rush around all the time. Philosophers talk about rushing around all the time. So even in a yoga pose, there's no need to turn everything on 100% right away. In fact, I'd say that's actually a harmful practice. So when you come into Tadasana, right? So when you think of Tadasana, what we often do, so I'll show from the side. So your teacher, my teacher Lois, says Tadasana, and we all go, we just lift up right away, right? But that's not a good thing to do because that's just instinctive work. Join your feet together. Let's use our intelligence to grow our Tadasana. Big toes join, spread the toes, press the heels down. So the heels, find the center of your heel. What does that mean? The center of each heel, centered forward and backwards, centered left and right. Find the center of the heel. And then see, can you press your weight more into the center of the heel? And see, it might be easier on one side than the other. So make sure both feet are doing, press the center of the heels down. That's our seed or our seat, right? Each asana has a seat, a position that you can meditate from. In Tadasana, that position, one of those positions is the heels. Press the heel down, center of the heel down. And then stabilize yourself between the left and right foot. Don't wobble, no wobbling. Come back to center. Heels down, be even in the legs. Firm the thighs and reach the arms down. And then have a breath. And continue breathing. Sometimes we work hard and we hold our breath. So try not to hold your breath. Roll the upper arms out, extend the arms down to the floor, fingertips down. Now observe that bottom of the rib cage and soften the diaphragm, soften the bottom of the rib cage by taking the upper abdomen slightly back towards the spine. Upper abdomen slightly back. And when you do that, notice that the thighs respond. So keep the thighs vigilant as you take the upper abdomen back. Roll the upper arms out and continue lifting up through the spine to the top of the shoulders, the shoulder girdle. Here, right, this is like our big stress indicator in our lives. It tells us how stressed we are because over time it pinches up like this and we're having a horrible time. So just pay attention to your shoulders and see, can you spread from the sides of the neck to the sides of the shoulder, the outer deltoid muscle. Spread that long. Sometimes we say spread the collarbones, but think instead of spreading from the top, the sides of the neck, all the way to the sides of the deltoids. Take your fingers actually. It doesn't matter what finger. Take your fingers to the bottom of your neck. Mine's tight. Maybe I drink too much coffee today. Take your fingers to the bottom of the neck and spread along the top of your shoulders out to the sides. What's nice about this action is that we feel our shoulder blades move right away. So do it again. Take the hands to the bottom. Spread the top of the neck and see if you can keep spreading the top of the shoulders to the sides even as you take the arms down to the floor. Tadasana. Now Tadasana has a directionality, right? All poses have directionality. So you lift up, you spread wide, you spread forward and backwards. Take your hands to your hips and step the feet apart. Have a breath. Now make sure you're in a good position. I can't see everyone's feet, so you have to judge for yourself. Heels out, toes in. Elbows back on the hips. Now after Tadasana, this is like a reprieve. Yeah, Alyssa, use the belt if you can. Take the belt on quick, we have enough time. If you're having hip issues, use the belt around the hips, specifically around the femur heads, all the way around both femur heads. Elbows back, lift the chest up. Now, tailbones forward, tailbone forward, and when the tailbone moves forward, that top of the thigh has to remain vigilant and go back. Tailbone forward, thigh back. And then lift up, roll the upper arms up and extend the arms out to the side now. Roll the upper arms up. Remember that without touching now, remember the top line from the top, the neck and the shoulder. So extend from the bottom of the neck now to the deltoid muscle, and then you can keep extending to the fingertips. So really lengthen the top of your shoulders. And then with that length, let the shoulders settle down towards the floor. Good. Now Virabhadrasana 2 with motion. Turn the right leg out all the way, keeping your arms reaching. Inhale. As slow as you can, bend your knee and come down. It's hard to do slowly at first. Go as low as you can, slow as you can. Bend the knee, come down. And then as slow as you can, come back up. Going back up is harder. I always think that's funny. Going back up is harder to do. Turn your feet forward. We'll come back, don't worry. Left leg out. Stretch the arms long. Now you know the game. Inhale, lift up. As slow as you can, bend your left knee now to Virabhadrasana 2. Slowly, I'm going too fast. I think of a drawbridge, right? If the drawbridge went really fast, it would break and fall into the moat. And we don't want that. And then press the legs, slowly come back up. What's nice about doing it slowly is that you have a chance to feel what's happening. Take the hands to the hips. And maybe that's a funny thing to say because of course you can feel your legs. But I find that when you move slowly, you get a chance to feel how the muscles act with each other and when they act. Now let's turn the right leg out again. Reach the arms. Now I want you to do, this time let's do 5 times. Yeah, 5 times slowly. So it doesn't matter what I'm doing, doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. Go slow 5 times. And when you're finished, you can come back and you can come into Tadasana. So go slow and try not to get stuck. So don't hold the position anywhere. So you come down slowly. And once you get into the bottom of the pose, don't fuss, just slowly come back up. Yes, and do this 5 times. Trying not to rush. As you're going down, observe how the top of the thigh is affected, how the thigh grips as you come down. Maybe it gets a little scary or painful for some. Yes, and you can take your hands to the hips if the arms get tired. I don't mind. Yes, good. And then slowly come up. Try not to get stuck. Also notice that we tend to jump. Go very slow. Come down. After your 5th one, if you're ahead, you can come into Tadasana. And another important thing is that back leg. So the left leg, try to keep that down. That's the nice thing about this pose is that you can focus on your outer left foot pressing down. After your 5th one, come to Tadasana. Turn the feet forward when you're ready and come to Tadasana. Number 5, we have a second side. If this was my men's class, they would be yelling at me. They have no problem yelling at me. Reach the arms down. JR, don't forget the second side. Press your heels down, stand tall. Feel your legs. I'm sure you can feel this right leg very well. Maybe you can feel the left leg strongly as well. Feel the difference, how the right leg is warm in some areas, tight in some other areas, painful. Feel how the left leg is not feeling the same way. Observe those 2 differences. Let's go wide again. Take the hands wide or the legs wide. And then extend the arms out. You can have the hands to the shoulders if you need to. Turn the left leg out. Lift the sternum. Now, outer right foot down to the floor. That's the constant I want you to maintain. Slowly bend the knee and come down. And then you'll do 5 times slowly as you can. Taking the thigh parallel to the floor. Knee bending all the way. And then slowly coming back up. And try to be smooth. Think about it as a pranayama activity. I don't want you to breathe funny, but when you breathe in pranayama, you want the breath to be smooth. And so here, as you bend your knee, you want that bending action to be as smooth as a pranayama breath. So you come down nice and steady. You touch the bottom of the pose, and then you come up nice and steady, not jolting, not lurching. All the while, the outer right foot presses down to the floor. And you can keep reaching the arms, keep opening the sternum. And after the 5th one, you can return to Tadasana. Okay, then when you're finished, you'll turn your feet forward. Take your hands to your hips and step the feet together, Tadasana. No need to rush if you're not done yet. While we're waiting, be in Tadasana, stand tall. Okay, everybody's done. All at the same time, great. Tadasana, interlock your hands, open the palms forward, Urdhva Baddha, reach up. Now I touched on this idea before. Take your hands forward. I think I have to adjust my camera to show. So just be in Tadasana for a moment. Excuse my hand. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So your arms. Just watch. When we lift our arms up, let me get them to be quiet. When we lift our arms up, sometimes we think of they're up. Now they're up, right? Now they're down. And so when our teacher says, raise the arms up, we reach the arms up, and then we're like, okay, when do I get to take them down? So when you're using your arms, reach them up into the air. Yes, check step 1. Box has been checked. The arms are up. And then from that point, connect the arms to the rest of the body. So you can look here. So my arms are up. I'm not doing anything. My arms are just up. This is boring. Now, from here, I have to turn the arms into a tool. So instead of just a weight I'm holding up, I reach my arms higher. I lift the arms even more, and I think of a continuous motion of the arms lifting that goes all the way down to the heels. So I try to lift my entire body using my arms. By the arms, I lift tall. And then when I come down, I try to maintain those efforts as I reach the arms back down. Let's try it. So first step, Tadasana. Let's differentiate. Tadasana, find your balance from the thighs, and then raise the arms up, just up. Don't do anything funny, just raise them up. Good, yes. And you feel they're heavy, right? They're heavy and there's a weight pressing down. Okay, let the arms come down. Have a breath. Spread your toes. I can't believe I didn't say spread your toes. Spread your toes, all of the toes spread, big toes join. Even that poor little toe, it needs to, even if you don't think it will ever do it. One day it will. This lifetime it will happen, not next, this one. Okay, press the heels down, raise the arms up, reach them up. Press your heels down and extend the arms higher. Use your arms now to reach. Pull the side ribs up, pull the sides of the waist up, pull the sides of the hips, the sides of the thighs, reach high up. Reach, reach, reach. Oh, I was gonna correct Carol, but she's a still image. Reach the arms higher. Press the heels down. Lift the chin slightly, chin slightly. Okay, and then take the arms down. Tadasana. Okay, now you probably felt something happening in your throat when you did that. So when you raise the arms up, the throat gets crunched. This is dramatic, but this is what happens. Your throat gets crunched because you're lifting so hard. So we have to add another element. Of course we do. Tadasana, Urdhva Hastasana, reach up. Okay, now engage the arms and lift up very high. Arms reaching up. And connect the arms to the sides of the torso. So you have this electricity from the heel to the fingertips. Now keep the arms reaching. Keep using the arms as a tool to lift your side ribs, side body up. But descend your shoulders slightly so that you have space for your throat, space for the neck and the face. So the shoulders have a slight resistance, even though the arms are still lifting up. So there's nuance. And then take the arms down. So the arms, this is when a few years back I had the opportunity to go to Pune, and I'm still unpacking everything I learned there. And one of the things that Prashant was teaching while I was there was that he's a language person. He loves language, and so when he teaches, it's like he likes to do grammatical constructs on language while he's teaching. And he was talking about this idea how your arms could do the pose, You could do the pose with the arms, you could do the pose for the arms, or the arms could do the pose with you. The arms could do the pose for you. And so this idea of giving agency to different parts of your body is super relevant, especially when we're talking about momentum and directions of energy. So Tadasana, Urdhva Hastasana, reach up, grow tall, take the shoulders down, reach the arms higher though. So there's a split. Now, heels down, thighs firm, tailbone forward, upper abdomen slightly back, reach up, inhale, deep full breath. And then keep this height as you exhale, but bend the elbows wide, touch your fingertips, bend the knees and jump or step. Now, Utthita Trikonasana. Just casual, come into Utthita Trikonasana to the right side. Oh my gosh, what a nice pose. This pose is like pose of the year pose, all the time. It's like vacation. Be in Utthita Trikonasana. Have a breath. Let's use this as a recovery. Press into your feet and come up. Ooh. Find your balance while I find mine. And then we'll turn to the left side. Come on in. Sometimes when you're practicing, try just doing the pose without fussing. So you just come in, you just do it. You don't spend a lot of time in it. You don't sweat it. Just come in, touch, have a few breaths, and then come up. Try that sometimes. So don't go to your teacher and say, JR said that I don't have to do any work in the pose. Take your hands to your hips and step to the feet together. Actually, don't go to my teacher and say that. I don't care what you say to your teacher. Join the feet together, reach the arms down and stand tall. I'm used to explaining myself to Lois though, so it's fine. Stand tall, press the heels down, roll the upper arms out, grow tall. Now, Trikonasana, Utthita Trikonasana. Take your hands to your hips, step your feet wide, be strong in the legs, extend the arms out to the side. So now we're doing this pose with a different tone. Let's experiment with the direction of the pose. Turn the right leg out and come down, right? So movement and direction and mass, right? They are all involved in this idea of momentum. So the momentum of this pose, the direction, the mass of this pose, when you first come into it, it's all on this ankle. Your whole weight is on your right ankle, right block, right floor, wherever, your right hand. So we have to move out of it. So let's experiment with moving towards the left side. So keep your arm, the left arm should stay reaching up, and keep the arms long, the legs long. So that's basic. Arms long, legs long. Now move your body to the left. Let's just see what happens. Move to the left. This is kind of an experiment. What does he mean, move to the left? Now press into the feet, come up. Let's turn to the other side. Come right on in. Set the arms, set the legs. Find your weight, find your balance, find your breath. Firm the legs, reach the arms long. Now, arms long, legs long. Move your weight to the right. Move out of that right ankle, the left ankle. Move out of your left ankle. Move to the right. Reach the arms, reach the legs as you move to the right. And then come up. Take your hands to your hips and step back together. So, action, reflection. In the Yoga Sutras, we have actions and we have reflections upon those actions. And studying the connection between the two is one of the ways to lead us towards the idea of samadhi, right? Samadhi is this quieting of the mind to the point where you can observe yourself. So, how do we reflect on that? So when I think of a pose, and I think of actions in poses, when I said, I'm pretty confident that nobody here has ever been told to move to the left like that. I want you to know, or I want you to think about, what did you think when you were trying to figure out what that command meant? And what did you think and what did you do? Right? What did you think and what did you do? So just wrap your mind around that for a moment. And then the same thing the other side. What did you think? What did you do? And were they different on the left side and the right side? I said some different things, so it's not a pure experiment, but you can still consider it kind of an experiment. Now let's go again. Trikonasana, triangle pose. Reach the arms out to the side, turn the right leg out, come on in. The water is fine. Trikonasana, triangle pose. Now, so we've done the pose as a restorative, catching our breath. We've done the pose with an abstract thought of reaching the opposite direction. Now let's do a little bit of refining, more specific. Press your outer left foot down. Press it strongly down. Firm the left thigh and reach the front edge of your left hip to the left. Reach it back to the left. Take the right buttock forward. Now the right foot press down. Firm your right thigh and then reach the arms long. Roll the upper arms out and take the chin away from the chest. Open up in Trikonasana. Open up the inner groins. Open up the sternum. Open up the armpits. Open up everything. Your spirit is open. Have a deep, full breath. Exhale, but stay in the pose. Continue breathing. Now press into your feet with poise and control. Come up. And let's turn sides. Go to the left side. Come down. Have a breath. And then come into the legs. Firm the thighs. Press your left foot down, inner left foot down. Press the outer right foot down. Firm the outer right foot to the floor. Glue it down. And then reach. So the right leg strong. Reach the front of the right hip further to the right. Front of the right hip further to the right. Take the left buttock forward. And then roll the upper arms up. Take the chin away from the chest. Open up. Open the chest. Open the inner groin. And open the spirit. Open wide. Have a deep, full breath here and stay in the pose as you exhale. And then press into your feet and come up. Turn the feet forward. Bring your hands onto your hips and step back together. Tadasana. Join the legs, join the arms, and grow tall and continue growing. When you think of a tree grows, but it doesn't stop growing. It rests, right? It sleeps, but it doesn't stop growing. It keeps reaching, it keeps reaching. So it has a momentum of growth towards the sun or downward towards the nutrients, towards the water. So we have the same thing. We're not sucking nutrients from the earth, but we're pressing our heels down into the ground. So imagine you have roots in the heels and dig those roots deep. And then lift tall and take some energy from the sun, right? Not literally, but lift yourself as if it was a literal thing you need to do to live. Maybe it is. Roll the upper arms up, press the heels down. So get this length. And then use your breath to accommodate the abdomen, to accommodate the torso so that you're not throwing your chest forward. Now, Uttanasana, take your feet apart, hip width. If you need blocks, use the blocks. Take the feet hip width apart, bend forward and take the hands down. Uttanasana. How are we doing? Okay, we're good on time, I think. Yes. Actually, I have no idea. Yeah, okay. Uttanasana, heels out, toes in. Spread the backs of the legs open. Press the hands down. Land. We've landed in the pose. Look around. When you go to the Grand Canyon, you don't just go there and say, all right, see you later. I mean, you kind of do if you're just driving, but when you go there, you have to look, you're in awe for a while. And for some reason, we forget that our body is so amazing. Our experience, our consciousness are so amazing that we should really just look in awe at all of the different jagged edges, all of the colors, all of the round, all of the smooth. Everything in the body, even in Uttanasana, where your hamstrings are screaming at you. When your back is paining, see what's happening in your experience. Because it's amazing. Firm the thighs. Roll the fronts of the thighs in. Spread the backs of the thighs out. Now, have your feet wide. I forgot if I said that or not. Have the feet hip width apart, a little wider is fine. And then take the hands back by the sides of the feet, and you can have the head down. Let the head come down. If you're using blocks, if you can take your hands down to the sides on a lower height, try that. If you have just the blocks, the high height, I want you to keep your hands forward. So you're in concave back still. If the hands could go lower height on the block or touch the floor, take the hands by the sides of the feet and bring the head down. And stretch the legs, open up, lift the sit bones higher. Extend the neck down. Roll the front of the thighs in. Spread the back of the thigh out. Extend the calf muscle. Spread the calf muscle. Now, even as you lean into the ball of the foot, keep your heel down on the floor. Good. Alyssa, can you take your hands down? Take your hands down. You can do that. And walk your hands back. When your hands are back, turn your fingers forward though. Yes, and then everybody lean your weight forward into the ball of the foot. Last moments of this pose. Have a breath, and with your breath, lift the sit bones higher. And with the exhalation, allow the spine to descend lower. Wash the breath over the body. Now bring the hands to your hips, or walk the hands forward, bring your hands to your hips, and slowly come upright. Tadasana. You can keep the blocks in front if you were using the blocks. Prasarita Padottanasana. Take your feet wide apart. Now you can feel the energy change of your mind, of the body, of the class, right? As we bend forward. That's why they're called restorative poses or recuperative poses or inversions. We're inverting the energy of our class by taking the head down. So let's come to Prasarita Padottanasana. Feet wide, hands down. Doing inversions, they always bring you back to a quiet place. If you're feeling manic or high energy or anxious, doing inversions helps you to calm down. If you're feeling depressed or lethargic or disaffected, any of these words, the inversions help you to come back to the more quiet state. So they're both, even though one's excitement and one's a depressant, right? Depressing, they're both the same direction. They both have the same magnitude of effect on your mind. So doing inversions bring the mind back to that center quiet state. So feet wide apart, Prasarita Padottanasana, hands down underneath the shoulders. Roll the upper arms out. So your biceps with your fingers down and your middle finger forward, roll your biceps forward. And then descend your sternum down. Sternum down. Make sure your hands are slightly wider than your shoulders, just a hair wider. Like really a hair, not much more than that. Because the reason I say that is if you take your hands exactly as wide as your shoulders, you roll your biceps forward, you have no room. Your armpits pinch against your arms. So take the arms just a slight amount wider, roll the upper arms out, and have some room so the sternum and the chest can go down. Legs strong, press into your feet. Inhale, and then exhale, bend forward and take the top of the head down. Top of the head down, legs strong. Press your palms into the floor. If the head's not touching, just let it hang. Let's see what's happening. If the head is touching, lift your shoulders up away from the ears. Lift the shoulders higher, Jan. See if you can keep going up. I see it. Yes. You have this nice line on your shirt, Jan, that shows me the shoulders. And actually, the shoulder that's closest to your shelf, I'm not sure which side that is, that has to lift up more. Yes. Oh, good. You're doing. Lift it up even more. So it's even. I wonder if that shoulder is tight. Press the feet down. Kelly, your hip that's closest to your trestle is dropping. Can you lift that side up? Yes, that hip. I don't know directions anymore. They've zoomed away. Margaret Stull, or Marge, I think, Make sure your hips are back a little bit so they're in line with your feet. Yes, and then you might be able to bend forward more. Good, and let the back of the head hang, everyone. Last moment here. Have a deep, full breath. So when you think of last moment, the idea is to be like, oh, I have only a few more seconds to be in the pose. Instead of like, oh my God, I'm finally out of it. Okay, take your hands on your hips. Inhale, come upright. Slowly step the hands forward, come upright. And then step the feet together. Tadasana. Does anybody know, and I guess this is rhetorical, have you ever heard of a rock tumbler? Right, they use them for gems. You put in like opals that still have the other rock material on top of it. You put it into this like little bucket, and it's full of water and sand sometimes, and some other kind of like gritty material. And then over time it shakes. The water shakes. The water shakes. The water shakes. The water shakes. And that rock, all the dirty bits, the non-opal on the opal, they slowly over time get ground off until at the very end you just have like the gem. I'm sure if you kept it going too long, you would have, it would hurt the gem or whatever. So your asana practice is this idea of a rock tumbler. We're just shaking everything up. We're moving, we're stretching, we're shaking, 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 turning, 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 grinding, grinding, smoothing, smoothing, all these things, not so that we can have stretched out inner groins, not so that we can have stretched out upper arms or spine as long, but it's so that we can see the gem at the inside of the stone, so that we can have that quiet experience. So that's what the yoga practice is about. It's about the quiet. So even though it's hard, even though sometimes it's frustrating, the goal, the momentum is always going towards the quiet. So sometimes it's not quiet. Sometimes the mind is screaming, but the goal is leading you towards that quiet. Now, feet together, heels apart, Tadasana. Roll the upper arms out, stand tall. Have a breath. Now, in your heels, press down, lift up. So, what's he doing? We're doing Tadasana after doing our inversions, after our standing poses. How can we do this? Because we're going to do Vrikshasana. We've prepared today's class for Vrikshasana. So standing Tadasana, now we're here, we've arrived, we've exposed the gem. So let's do Vrikshasana together. Be strong in the legs, keep that left leg pressing down, and if you need the wall, use it. Take the right heel high up on the left inner groin. And then take some time and really get that heel in the right spot so that the heel is coming as close to your left thigh as possible. Sorry, your right thigh as possible. It should be high up. So find your balance. Bring your hands on your hips once you have balance. If you need to catch your ankle the whole time, you can do that. If you need a belt, use the belt. Find your balance here. Now we said a tree before, right? So the roots of the tree press down. Press your heels down, both of them. The right one into the left thigh and the left one down to the floor so that you grow tall. Because Vrikshasana, we think of our bottom foot as the trunk, right? Our bottom leg is the trunk, but that's incorrect. Have you ever seen a tree shaped like this with a stub this way? No, that's not how trees work. This is the ground level. This is the ground, your knee. This is the roots pressing down. So take the knee wider, take your knee wider and press it down to the ground. Use it to pry yourself up and lift your trunk. Hello, trunk. Lift the trunk up, lift the spine up, and then reach the arms out to the side. Let's open the palms. We never open the hands. Open the hands wide. Open the hands wide. And then raise the arms up into the air. Here you can join the fingers together. It's just nice to open the fingers because we never do that. Lift the sternum and grow tall. Now, it's a windy day in the forest. We're all wobbling. Find your steadiness. Press into your heel. Lift the arms high up. Lift the sides of the torso. Lift the sides of the hip up. Press that right knee down. Take the right knee back. Grow tall. Grow long. Lift your chin. And then as you reach the arms, slightly descend your shoulder. Sternum lifting, eyes lifting, continue breathing. And be quiet. Even as that bottom leg is struggling, press your left heel down and be quiet. Now have a breath. Inhale. And exhale. Take the hands down to the hips. Release your foot down, Tadasana. Press into your heels. Roll the upper arms up. Feel the difference in your legs. Our trunk leg, our root leg feels strong. Our ground leg, right, has a different feeling. Keep the right leg down now. Bend your left knee. Let's switch the legs. Get the left heel high up to touch the left thigh, as high as you can. If you have healthy knees, then you can go. If the knees are not healthy, I always say this on my unhealthy knee side, I forget it on the first side. But if the knees have trouble, you can have space. It's okay to take the heel a little lower. It's okay to put something behind the knee. It doesn't have to be perfect. Take the hands to the hips, right? Because it's momentum, right? So no matter what we do, it builds in our efforts over time. Even if we stop doing and never do it again, we still have that little bit of push from the past. So press your left foot into the right inner groin, take your left knee out to the side and then down towards the ground. Press your right heel to the floor strong, reach the right roots all the way down so you can get the rocks, the water, the nutrients, the mycelium, whatever it is. Roll the elbows back, lift your chest, lift the chin up. So you're tall. And now let's extend the arms out to the side. Arms out. Spread the hands, spread them nice and wide. Spread the fingers. So I have my thumb spreading away from the middle, my pinky spreading away from the middle. Turn the palms up. Reach the arms long. Top of the shoulders, from the neck to the fingertips, reach, and then lift the arms up into the air. Now grow. Press down into your right heel. Reach the arms up. Lift up. And then take the left knee back, left knee down. Lift the sternum, lift the chin, reach tall. We're almost there. You can do it. And then take the shoulders lower. Stretch the elbows straighter. Now inhale, stay in the pose. Exhale. And then take the arms up to the side. Catch the ankle and come down. Tadasana. I always say inhale and stay in the pose, because if I don't, people fall out. And it's a good practice to get into, to think of the breath as not the very end of your pose, but just one part of the pose. Okay, now your legs are saying, what the heck, what happened? So separate your feet again, hip width apart. Let's do another Uttanasana and take the hands down by the sides. Let the calves stretch, both sides. Let the back of the head and neck be long down towards the floor. Come into the pose. If the back is bothering, you can use a height, a chair for Ardha Uttanasana. If you're fine, go into the pose. You have options. Elena, lift the sit bones higher and stretch the legs a little straighter if you can. Okay, and then walk the hands forward. We're not going to hold very long. We're going to move on. Walk the hands forward. Take your hands to the hips. Come upright. Tadasana. Woo. In Tadasana, be still for a moment. Okay, so let's set up for our shoulder stand. So Sarvangasana. So you have options. If you have the setup, then do your normal setup. If you don't have the setup, you need to let me know so I can give you an option. So if you've done shoulder stand before, just do that. Does anybody have any questions or issues? Just let me know what they want to do. Lissa, what are you going to do?
What do you mean? I think you muted yourself.
Oh, I'm unmuted now. What are you going to, so what pose are you going to do? Are you going to do just with the chair and your feet on the chair?
Yeah.
Okay, do that. That's great.
Okay.
Sarvangasana, all limb pose, which we call shoulder stand. All limb pose is such an interesting name to me because I don't think of all of my limbs all the time when I do that pose because I'm trying to balance so much. So once you're ready, lie back, set yourself up. You seem like seasoned practitioners. If we were in India, I'd say quick, 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 quick. We're not, so I won't. We have time. There's no rush. Once you're in Halasana, it's time to get situated. Alyssa, push the chair away more away from your head. So that when you roll over, your center of your foot should be right at the center of that chair. In Halasana, stretch the legs, stretch the arms, press the arms down on the floor. And then bring the hands onto the back. Bend the elbows, press your elbows down. Be on the elbows, be on the shoulders. And when you're ready, one leg and then the other, come on up to Sarvangasana. Salamba Sarvangasana 1. Let's see what's happening. Find your starting point in Salamba Sarvangasana, shoulder stand. And don't panic. Okay, looks like everybody's about up. If you're not, let's take one leg up and then the other and come on up. If you're doing something different, you do your different thing. Now join the legs together. Okay, let's start with some basics. Take the thighs back and the tailbone forward. Let's get the shape of the pose down. So if you can see your feet, you should only see the tips of the toes. So take the feet back, take the feet back. Just for today's class, if you practice a little different, that's okay. Take the feet back more. Yes, you're doing good. Now with the feet back, take the tailbone forward. Yes, if you come around, try again. Tailbone forward. Good, Kelly, that looks good. Reach the heels higher, everyone. Higher, who is that? I think Marge, you've gone a little too far back. So tailbone forward to correct. Tailbone forward. Yes, even more tailbone forward. So the tailbone, if it's hard to feel inside the hip, you can think of the tailbone, an indicator for the tailbone is where the top of your leg meets the bottom of the abdomen. So move that space forward. Firm the thighs. Now, what's the direction of this pose? It's up. It's up is the only answer. So lift up. Observe your legs and lift up. If you've come down, you can rest. That's okay. Rest in Supta Baddha Konasana. Feet together, knees wide apart, I think is good. Lift up. Thighs firm. Reach up. Observe the outside of your legs. Observe the front of your legs, the back of your legs, the inside of the legs, and lift all of that up. Think of a pulley system attached to your ankles. And I have the crank, and I'm cranking the pulley system, and your legs should reach higher and higher and higher up the ceiling. So much so that your shoulders should feel lighter on the floor. So remember, we use the arms to lift ourselves up in Vrikshasana, in Urdhva Hastasana. Here, let's use the legs to lift ourselves up. Use the legs. Do the pose with the legs for the body. And reach your legs higher. Good. Now roll the fronts of the thighs in. Lift the legs up. Oh, something's happening. Lift the legs up. Grow tall. Ekapada Sarvangasana. Keep your left leg up in the air and take the right leg forward halfway. Good, and if you're using a height, you can let the foot come to the height, I don't mind. But the leg is straight. Now your left leg, extend your left heel higher up in the air, wrap from the outer left hip to your midline, so your thigh rolls in, your left thigh rolls in, and then firm your right thigh, and slightly lift your right hip so the hips stay level. That's a general instruction. And then raise the legs back up. Let's switch the sides. So join your feet together. Salamba Sarvangasana 1. And now let's keep the right leg up in the air. For Ekapadasarvangasana, take the left leg forward. The outer femur head, your outer right hip, wrap it forward and into the midline and lift up from that wrapping. So don't just do it to do it. Use it to lift that right leg higher. And then lift your left hip slightly. Okay, and then raise the legs up, Salambasarangasana. Yes, last moments of the pose, Salambasarangasana. So we're turning everything on. Tailbone forward, thighs back, legs up. Now, we did Ekapadasarvangasana not just to do that, not just to stretch out our hamstrings or get a better position for our hands, but we did it so we can learn the direction of our outer hips. Can you wrap both of the femur heads in towards the midline? Both femur heads in towards the midline. So from the outside of the leg, wrap to the front of the thigh, into the inner leg. So the back hamstring spreads open. Have a deep, full breath. Inhale, grow in the pose. And then exhale in quiet, carefully, without rushing. One leg down to halasana and then the other. Without rushing, without falling. If you're using the belt, undo your belt. In halasana, rest the arms. And then you can come to Karnapidasana with the knees bent into the ears. And as you're ready, so not to do it immediately, but as you're ready, slowly roll up, vertebra by vertebra, so that the back stays long as you come down. And once you're down, you can rest. In whatever comfortable position it is, there is for you, just rest with your back on the ground. Have a breath. I like this part of the pose. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Enjoy it, right? So we did all this hard work, and then we're taught in yoga, we get this idea sometimes that people shouldn't enjoy themselves, and that is bogus. That's not correct. You should enjoy yourself, but only so much, right? You don't push yourself, you don't overdo it. So when you do all this hard work, right, there's a reason why we call it the fruit of our labors, the fruit of our actions. When you grow a tree and it drops an apple, you should eat the apple, but the apple's only so big, and then you move on, right? And you work on something else. So enjoy the after effects of Sarvangasana. Enjoy the after effects of your yoga practice, but then we have to move on and keep working. Okay, bend the knees, turn to the side, use your hands to sit up. And let's come to Upavishta Konasana. Should be a different Upavishta Konasana than we started with. Can you see my legs? I don't think so. Maybe you could, but I'm going to turn it down. Upavishta Konasana. If it was a movie, it would be like The Return of Upavishta Konasana. It was a dark and stormy night. There was lightning. I looked out of my window and there was Upavishta Konasana. Okay.
Hey, JR, all of a sudden I can't see you at all.
At all? Can anybody else see me?
No, we can't see you.
I'm here. Maybe my video is muted.
It's highlighted on someone else.
Oh, I see. I'll spotlight myself. Somebody else's spotlight. Was that happening for a while?
Thank you.
Okay. Upavishta Konasana. Okay, legs wide. Now, Parshva, turn to the right. So without all the fanfare, without all the lifting and the breaking, turn to the right side. Walk your hands and see if you can catch for the feet. Catch as low as you can. If you're not quite to the foot, that's okay. Just go as far as you can. If you can catch your foot, catch your foot. Bend the elbows and rest the head as low as it goes. And come down. Chin forward, abdomen soft, brain quiet. Don't fuss. So when I say don't fuss, I mean don't worry about if you're doing the pose correctly. Don't try to make these grand adjustments. Just set yourself up into the pose so that you can be quiet and then come into the pose. Use your hands to sit up. Turn forward and let's switch the sides. Adjust yourself if you need to. Turn to the left. Walk your hands to the sides of the feet. Catch the sides of the feet. Bend the elbows wide, and as you're ready, come into the pose. And take your hands down to the floor. Use your hands to sit up. Baddha Konasana, just to come out, feet together, knees wide. You should feel your legs are different. They've undergone some rock tumbling. Now let's turn to the sides. First, let's lie back in Supta Swastikasana. So legs crossed, lie back. If you need something to lay on, you can lay on a bolster or a blanket. I like to lay on the floor, but that's your choice. You do what you need to do. It's not wrong to lay on a bolster here. In fact, we often teach with the bolster. I just prefer the floor. So reach the arms, knees wide, and be long in your Supta Swastikasana. That's an interesting thing to say. Be long. It has two meanings. So extend the arms, extend the torso, extend the knees away so that you have a length. And then reside in the pose, so you belong here. Now you can catch the elbows to remove some of the intensity of the stretch so that it moves towards more of a quiet pose. And here, let the eyes rest. If your eyes are soft, the eyes are quiet, allow the eyelids to close. If they're hard and tense, see if you can soften them by letting the eyes sink towards the floor. Everybody can do that. Let the eyes be heavy towards the floor. Think of the eye sockets as a well, and the eyes are stones that fall down to the bottom. Now quietly change the cross of the legs. You can reach the arms again and then switch the cross of the arms. Now, take the legs straight, release the arms for Shavasana. A resting pose at the end. Take some time to set yourself up. So this is one you have to do for yourself as well because I can't see everybody very well. So make sure, use your hands on the back of your head, lift your head up, and make sure that you're even with yourself. Your feet are even apart. They're centered on the midline. Your hips in line with that, your spine in line with the midline, your sternum. And then when you set your head down, extend the back of the head and neck long. And as you set it down with intention. And after you set it down, try not to move it anymore. And then take the back of the hand to the floor and rest with the arms a little wide out to the sides and the legs about hip width or a little wider. Shavasana. In Shavasana, observe your breath and be quiet. Now, the class is themed momentum. So even in Shavasana, there's a momentum. The momentum changes because our body is like happy to rest. So it becomes quiet. And so when the body is quiet, it's like removing the fog from a lens. And so you see your mind much more clearly. And so we realize that the mind has a momentum too, or we can see that more clearly. So I like to think of a very classic representation of momentum is a train. And a classic representation of your mind is the train of thought, right? So the mind is always moving. The thing that's interesting about how we call it a train of thought is like one of the first things you learn about trains when you're young is that it takes them a long time to stop. It takes them a mile, it takes them a football field, 3 football fields, whatever. Your mind is the same way. It's called a train for a reason, a train of thought for a reason, because it's very stable, very strong, and it takes a long time to slow down. Your asana practice is the brakes for that process. So here, as the mind is quieter, bring yourself into it. Bring yourself into the expanse of your mind. So bring the momentum, instead of reaching out. Pratyahara is the sense that you're coming in. Reach in. Bring the mind into the depths of yourself. And reside there. Belong there. A lot of our anxieties and our fears stem from the notion that we're not as good as we should be, or we're not who we're supposed to be. But despite this, no matter what is happening, no matter what circumstance, no matter what instance, no matter what problem, situation, drama, whatever, there's nothing you can do to not be yourself. You're always yourself, always. And so the quieter you can get the mind to be, the more you can see that yourself, that's who you are. So here, be quiet, and I'll be quiet for the last few moments of our Shavasana. Now have a slow, soft, and deep inhalation breath. Inhale into the expanse of your consciousness. And as you exhale, let that expanse be quiet. Be still and release. Breathe normally. Now at your own pace, so not to rush, at your own pace, quietly, slowly, just listen first, quietly, slowly come out of your Shavasana. And at the end of our class, we'll finish the same way we started, with the legs crossed, the palms folded, and the eyes closed. So take your time, and we'll sit together in quiet. So I won't talk for a moment. Please mute whatever mic that is that's active. Observe your breath. Have a slow, soft, deep inhalation breath. As you exhale, surrender the head to the heart. Release your hands to the knees. Quietly lift the head up. And when you're ready, you can open the eyes.